There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Maui Nui is on a mission to help balance axis deer populations for the good of our environment, communities, and food systems on the island of Maui. They've shared over 126,000 pounds of nutrient-dense protein with the Maui community. Secure your spot now. Become a snack subscriber and join in helping to build more resilient food and ecosystems on Maui. Visit MauiNuiVenison.com. That's MAUINUI venison.com and use promo code BEAR for 20% off your first order.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
My name is Clay Newcomb, and this is a production of the Bear Grease podcast called The Bear Grease Render, where we render down, dive deeper, and look behind the scenes of the actual Bear Grease podcast. Presented by FHF Gear, American-made, purpose-built hunting and fishing gear that's designed to be as rugged as the places we explore. So what's the nearest town to where we're at? Where would you go to buy groceries for your house, Mike?
Rolling Fork.
Rolling Fork, Mississippi.
Where the tornado hit.
We are near Rolling Fork, Mississippi.
Yeah, about 22 miles.
And, well, Rolling Fork, Mississippi is where that huge tornado came through.
That's correct.
And you guys were there on the scene. Am I right?
Everybody was.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole town.
Yeah. When was that, back in the spring?
Was there helping in the spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think March.
Yeah, back in March. That terrible tornado. We're in Mississippi. It's dark outside right now, but we're within sight of the Mississippi River. I've got to my right, Lake Pickle.
Howdy.
Good to see you, Lake.
Likewise.
To your right, Jordan Blissett.
Hello.
You guys are old regulars on the Bear Grease podcast, though.
Oh, yeah.
Second appearance.
They're sitting here just like, oh, man, this is just another day in the park.
Been here, done that.
I'll tell you this. The last time Jordan and I were on the render, I'd gotten used to unusual guests being on the render and then the OG crew roasting them the next week, and they never said anything about us. They never said nothing about me and Jordan. So
that kind of stopped. The OG group kind of chilled out a little bit, I think.
Well, I was worried about it.
Yeah. To Jordan's right, the guest of honor in my mind, Mike Amden.
Pleasure.
Man, Mike, I got some specific questions for you about the Mississippi River.
I hope I can answer them.
Yeah, man. To Mike's right, Brent Reeves.
Hey, buddy.
It's good to have you back, Brent.
It's good to be
Brent's
here.
a regular, except when he's not. When he does whatever he does.
I do what I do.
And then to Brent's right is Drew Steckline.
Thanks for having me.
Man, so Drew is your videographer, photographer, former professional skier, snow skier.
Yep.
Right on. Would you guess that he has two L-shaped plates on both cheeks of his face?
I mean, I'd wondered why it looked like that, but now
Did it have anything?
No, I actually thought he was pretty well put together for a guy that's had his face broke up.
Did it have? I mean, did your face hit a tree or something? What happened?
I had my knee in a skiing accident, and then the other one collided into somebody else's foot.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No snow involved.
No snow involved.
No, it's been good to get to meet Drew. And then I guess the seventh guest of honor is Brent's big buck that he killed just today. We've got the rack of
How about that?
beautiful
That buck deer,
Mississippi Delta
that
buck.
rack of horns that you're holding right now slept in the woods last night.
Yeah.
Hunter cleaned that up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
That looks good.
Nice, sleeping in the house.
Well, hey, we've got, man, do we have a lot to talk about. This latest episode of the Bear Grease podcast, the Donnie Baker story, nightmare. This was a super unique podcast for me to put together. We're going to talk about it in a little bit.
Okay.
But first, man, I'm always torn on whether we should talk about what we've been doing. We've been hunting down here in Mississippi. It's January the 9th today. We've been deer hunting, duck hunting. Brent's been doing a little hog hunting.
Yep.
And Brent and I rode 250 miles down and Drew and Isaac Neal 250 miles down the Mississippi River to get here. We could have just drove here. Would have been a little quicker just to drive here, but there's a film project that you'll see at some point this year on Meat Eater that's going to be really cool. But Mike, how long have you been living close to the Mississippi?
12 years.
12 years.
Last 12 years.
But man, you're a river rat, Mike. I knew that when I saw you.
Well, you can't really help it.
Can't help it. But you love to catfish, you and your wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. She fishes all the time. I fish part of the time.
She
She wants to fish every day.
Yeah. Man, I wish we could have put some lines out today.
Oh, me too.
We tried to do some fishing, which January you wouldn't think would be good for catfishing. And I mean, it's not a traditional time to do it, but you can catch them in January.
Oh, yeah.
They're out there doing catfish stuff.
But we can catch them here in a month or so too.
Yeah.
Be better, actually.
Yeah. What's the biggest blue cat you caught out of the river?
82.
82 pounds. Rod and
Now
reel.
that was on a vertical line.
Vertical.
Biggest one on. My wife actually caught the biggest blue we got, and it was 76 on a pole. And then she's caught a 67 flathead, 6-7 pound flathead.
So
She
80
got both records right now, but that's just kind of a weird thing, you know.
Yeah.
Now, when you say vertical line, is that like limb line?
No, like you find your deep hole and put your weight on, and then you start dropping it down and just take them clips and clip your hooks on,
Okay.
and then have jugs on top. I just started it this year myself, and very productive.
Wow.
So it's a vertical. It's just like I finally understood it the second time you described it to me.
Right.
It's just like a trot line, except it goes straight
it's
down.
Everything's the same.
Just
trot
put
line,
a weight
except
on the end and just drop it, and then you have some special thing that clips onto the line.
it's a little old trot line clip with your hook on it.
Yeah.
We fish leaders about like that.
So you got a bunch of different hooks at different depths that way.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Now,
you
what
know
if
how
you
you
get-
tie off the bank, you kind of stretch it out there and on your first, few catch or whatever. This is, you got every depth.
Huh.
Works great.
Now, okay, Mike, the Achilles heel of the vertical trot line. What if it gets hung up down there?
You really don't. Not in the Mississippi River. I mean, there's not that much structure anyway, and you're always around the back of them dikes, and it's pretty clean.
So does
Now, it's more for, you'll catch more blue cat than you do flatheads.
Okay, second potential problem. You get 30 fish on the same line. They all get in cahoots together and take that sucker down.
I hadn't had that happen, but I could see where it'd be an issue. But
I mean, would it? I don't know if it would or not.
No, we've had some big. I mean, we've had 10 or 12 at a time on there, and it'll stay hooked.
The catfish are selfish. They'll never work it out amongst themselves.
Yeah, they're like
They're
Yeah,
pulling
different-
against each other,
yeah.
and you can take your live view and get back and look at it, and your line's gonna have a little bow in it, and come back up to them jugs. And you just get there behind them rock dikes, and they usually own it the next morning. Bait's a big thing.
What are you using?
Skipjack.
Is
I'm
a
a live
skipjack
bait
a
guy.
wild fish that lives in this river?
Yes,
Skipjack.
skipjack.
It's just like a big
It's an oily fish.
shiner or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's oily. It's right behind these rock dikes. It's natural, and works great. I love brim.
Yeah.
Bring 'em. It's according to time of year it is, That's a big thing. Springtime, I want them live. I want that live bait.
Hook them right in the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of these old timers right here, these men, they're skipjack all the way through, and they don't want to fool with live bait, and they catch a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's several guys up and down this river I want to fish with it. I just met some of them last year.
Yeah. Well, we had on the Bear Grease podcast as a formal guest Bill Lancaster. I told you about.
Oh
him.
yeah, from Greenville.
Man, he's a heck of a guy. If you go in the Wildlife Museum in Leland, Mississippi, he's got a whole section in that Wildlife Museum of all his. It's just a bunch of pictures and a bunch of neat stuff. But he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
And we're doing this vertical line fishing stuff a little bit, but we 90% pole fish.
Pole fishing. Mm-hmm. You want to reel them in.
Yeah, we fish up and down this bank, all up through behind these dikes. Sometimes we'll take the boat, we fish out of the boat out there, but still fish in the same spots. But it's kind of handy just to leave the house and go to these sandbars and set them up and go back, eat supper, go back, check them.
Yeah.
Works good.
Man, I got to I want to come down here sometime and fish with you when it's good. And I know, so we were planning this deer hunt, duck hunt, and I'm going to let Jordan talk about the duck hunt. But we kind of threw on the catfishing deal there at the end.
Well,
so we knew it wasn't a perfect time at all. But no, Jordan, Lake. I was looking at Lake and said Jordan.
Dang, I thought I was going to get the roasting.
Well, yeah.
I couldn't believe he was teeing you up for that. It's been to be brutal.
So, Lake, you work for Onyx.
I do. Yep.
You work for Open Season Properties. You sell real estate in Mississippi.
Yep.
What else do you do with your life?
I mean, that's where we could end it right there. I mean, those two things.
Duck guide.
If I was duck guiding, I would be filing for unemployment after this last go around. But
it's not your fault.
In his defense, we scouted the same morning, the other morning, and they was there. And the next day they was not.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to help him.
Well.
So we get. I mean, yeah,
it's kind of on me too. My group didn't kill either.
So Mike's on the north side of this property. I'm on the south side. Before I'd even talked to Mike, I text y'all and I said, "Duck report." I think what I said is good, not great. Like it wasn't loaded, but I was like, "There's definitely enough here." And I go talk to Mike and Nick, and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, they're here." And then we go out that next morning, and
we all kind of look like fools there.
I mean, we killed a duck.
Yep.
A duck. I was happy with that.
We killed a bear, but Paul shot him, right?
No, it was neat hunting down in this country. Mm-hmm. Man, it feels like I know in Arkansas, which is further north than here, the guys talk about how the ducks aren't coming as far south. It's taking them longer to get there, and down here it's a whole nother deal. I mean, but still, you're getting some good mallard duck hunts in here every year.
Typically, where we were at, obviously the Mississippi River and all that, floodplain, alluvial valley is just historically good duck area. And, y'all see it. Y'all are on the river. It's just so low, and it's such a lack of water. Been warm, been dry, and it just not down here.
Historic lows on the Mississippi River, is that right?
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Historic lows.
I mean, it's never been 3 foot through hunting season since I've been here.
Okay, I've talked about this before, and when you say 3 foot, describe to somebody who doesn't know.
That's going off the Vicksburg gauge.
So where is zero? At what reference point is zero? If it's 3 foot above something, what's zero? Does anybody know?
I don't.
No,
I can't answer that, but it has to be off a marker down there at Vicksburg Bridge.
Yeah, so it does go in the negatives.
Well, so okay, let me teach you boys something. I'm deducing. No, they must just have like a normalcy that they decided was zero. And they just said it like this is normal flow of the river. Am I right?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Sure.
Sounds river right. Experts. I've come all the way to the Mississippi River to talk to the experts.
With just a little more confidence, I would have said that's exactly
well,
what it is.
I guess it's got to be. Because it's
Yeah, here's what I know. It's like you talk to these guys like Mike that's on this property, and then at Cottonmouth, which is north of here. But all these guys that spend time on their particular property, they can tell you what river gauge. Like if they look at the Vicksburg gauge, for instance, they know. If I tell Mike what's the river doing at 22 feet, he can tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he knows what happens on that property with different levels.
Well, so I was looking at a map. There's a big map in one of the rooms of this property on the wall,
Right.
and there's a legend. Like, this is really cool because you wouldn't have this anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
There's a legend, and in the legend it says at 22 feet, this and this floods, and it describes places on the property that are named. At 30 feet, this happens. At 15 feet, this happens. And you kind of, I guess if you get to know a place, you understand exactly what that river is going to do. And so you've got this property along the river that you're managing, and at different flood stages, different sections are going to flood.
Right. Well, you go to hunting it and stuff. Well, you need to know if you're close to your road going under, and you've got 5 people and you're going north with them, and you get there and you don't know that it's fixing to be over that road, then the whole morning's messed up for everybody.
Yeah.
So you got to keep up with all that.
Well, I mean, we experienced that this week when we were trying to get to an island. So the property that you manage, Mike, has an island in it.
Correct.
An island in the Mississippi River.
Right.
Which there are a lot of islands in the Mississippi River, even though they're all unique and really dynamic. So we were going to go hunt the island, and for the last 4 months, you could drive to the island.
Until 2 days before y'all went. When y'all was here, we didn't even know that we couldn't get to it. We thought we could still get to it.
Yeah, we had our bows, and we're going to drive over there and go hunting, and the river came up 2 feet just overnight, which 2 feet,
It's
you
a
really
bunch
can't.
out there because it spreads out because, we got on that sandbar and it just spreads out quick.
And so it messed up we had to get a boat, and we ended up boating over to the island. I spent some time in Alaska, well, just in December, but I was also there in May. And the tide swings in southeast Alaska are some of the biggest tide swings in the world, like massive tide. So everywhere you go, you're constantly calculating for the tide. And those guys just have to be able to read it so that they don't get stranded or they don't kill themselves in some way when the tide's low, going through certain places. Like when the tide's low, there's going to be rocks in that little channel. Or when the tide's high, you could drive a big boat through there. This is like that.
Same thing. I'm just different scale, but same thing.
Yeah.
Same problems.
Yeah. And just
like y'all the other day, y'all trying to get there, and we thought, y'all just drive around, come back around to a certain spot, drop y'all off, and just like that, everything went chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they got you handled. They got y'all in the water. And
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
that was kind of unexpected. That's kind of unexpected. Little, we wasn't planning on getting a boat in the water or anything else. I mean, we got it done though. The boys did.
Oh, and it was funner taking that boat over there than riding a 4-wheeler, wasn't it, Brent?
Probably better hunting too.
You.
Brent, so I've spent 250 miles with Brent as I was on our boat, our vessel, which I got to explain this. We've talked about this. Our boat, we named it Laura. Do you know why, Jordan, we named it Laura?
Oh, the iceberg.
Close. Okay.
What was that called?
The ice sheet.
Yeah.
So the Laurentide ice sheet formed the upper part. Well, it formed the Mississippi River Valley. So naturally, we named our boat Laura. So Brent was the captain of Laura. I was the cub pilot. Okay, and about 50 miles in, like Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain. 50 miles in, I said, Brent, and I'm not an experienced riverman. The weakness, if you were just to pitch me out into the wilderness, I would probably die in a river. But if I had to tame a horse or a mule and ride it across the mountains, I'm good. If I need to drive an ATV in extreme circumstances, I'm good. If I need to walk or hike, I'm good. Boat is my biggest weakness in wilderness travel. 50 miles in, I say, Captain, I think it's time for Clay to take the wheel. And I mean, I can drive a boat, but not a lot of experience. And I pretty much drove the last 200 miles, did I not?
You did.
How'd I do?
You did very well. You did. You really did.
Until it was time to load across that current.
Yeah, you saw that.
I didn't know if I was going to say that, Mike. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Oh, dude, I'm the first one.
It was. It's different, isn't it?
Oh,
It's tough on
Well,
somebody that loads every week.
There's a lot of physics that goes into loading a boat in the current, and loading a big boat is tough.
so our boat.
And
it's
then
a-
the cross current on top of that. Was just-
I
It's
chickened out. So I drove that boat 200 miles down the river, passing barges. I mean, doing everything. And when I told him I've loaded a smaller boat in a trailer, but yeah, we had the 9 mile per hour current going down the river, and then I had you and the other two guys on the bank, and it was raining, and I tried to hit it. And I got right up to it and chickened out and threw it in reverse.
He had a good approach, though, didn't he?
He did. It looked good right
And
up to the
and
end.
Brent was trying to make it like a teaching thing. He's like, "Now, come on, Clay, you're gonna do." I could tell he was like, "This is a learning experience. You're gonna do this." And I finally just said, "Brent, get in this seat. Put this thing in the trailer. I'll learn another time when there's not 10 people standing here watching."
And cameras. And all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a boat. I mean, good gosh, it ain't like we're loading a John boat. This thing's 27 feet long.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never seen such. It's so nice.
Big Sea Arc boat, man.
yeah, it's really neat.
really cool.
Ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. She'll love looking back on these memories and seeing what you're up to today. Even better, with unlimited storage and an easy-to-use app, you can keep updating mom's frame with new photos, so it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is not a joke. Juju Newcomb has an Aura frame, and we share photos, and they're incredible. Also, my mother-in-law has one. We have them. They truly are really good, really high quality. The Aura frame is easy to set up. It takes just 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. It also adjusts the display depending on light levels in the room to maintain the true color of your photos. For real, the digital screen is amazing. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame when you use code BEAR, B-E-A-R, BEAR. That's auraframes.com. Use code BEAR at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply. I've had a Helix Sleep mattress for over 2 years, and it is for sure the nicest mattress that I've ever slept on. I've slept much better in the last 2 years, been more comfortable than I have for my whole life. And that's true. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe Collection, the newly released Helix Elite Collection, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. Take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and your personalized mattress is shipped straight to your door free of charge. Helix has several different mattress models to choose from, each designed for specific sleep positions and feel preferences. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/clay and use the code HelixPartner20. This is their best offer yet and won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. The old-timers say that the turkeys start gobbling when the leaves are as big as squirrels' ears and the red buds start popping. And we're about there. And we are there in the South. The Onyx Hunt app is one of my most valuable tools in the spring woods. With tools like coniferous versus deciduous tree distribution layer, you can save time by locating edges or transition areas of mixing habitats from home. Find an area like this with water in close proximity, and more than likely, there will be a gobbling turkey nearby. Knowing the exact boundaries of private ground ensures I stay on the right side of the fence, but can easily find public ground to go see if I can't strike a gobbler. If you do get one to sound off, using compass mode and waypoints will help you pinpoint his exact location, allowing you to move in and make the perfect setup to bring him right into your lap. Download the Onyx Hunt app today. You'll be glad you did. Onyx has a special offer for you.
Use code BEARGREASE to receive 20% off your membership at onxmaps.com/hunt this spring.
I just wanted to. We were just talking about the river. I can't remember exactly what I was about to say, but we named our boat.
I can tell you this, from being the captain, I didn't get to marry nobody on the way down as being the captain of the ship. I'm kind of disappointed about that. But if this trip had been 251 miles, I think we would have built a plank and somebody would have been walking off of it. What do you think, Drew?
Definitely.
The Cub pilot.
Mike, they get mad at me because we'd be coming around a tight corner. So the Mississippi River, in places it's very wide, in places it's like surprisingly narrow, but they have the channels marked, and there's green buoys and red buoys. Red buoys are on the east side of the river. Green buoys are on the west side of the river, and you got to keep the in between the buoys. I'm describing this to people who wouldn't know, which I would not have. Inside the buoys is maintained by the Corps of Engineers, and it's dredged out, so you have a guaranteed channel. Outside those buoys, you got no guarantee of any channel at all. There could be obstructions, there could be sandbars, there could be anything. But in the main channel, there could also be logs and obstructions that you got to constantly watch for. So I was going to tell you, they would get mad at me because we'd be coming in and come around a corner, and all of a sudden there would be a huge barge. I mean, these things are like pushing like 80 barges. I mean, it's like a massive boat in the water coming around a corner, and I would say, I guess you had it right to be mad at me. Now that I think about it.
What should I do? What should I do?
Yeah, what happened, Drew? Tell me.
And Brett would say, I just told you what you should do, and you did the opposite. Why'd you ask me what to do?
He said, should I pass on
like
the left?
every hour.
Should I pass on the left or the right? I said, pass on the left. Well, why wouldn't I pass on the right? I said, just pass on the left. You got the room. That's the way. Let him have that side over there. Well, I think I should pass on. I said, well, you're driving. Just drive. But you need to make a decision. Do one or the other, but you need to do it now.
And what Brett and I's relationship is so good because he helps me process through decision making.
And you feed the ulcer I have in my stomach.
But we made it.
It was good. You did really well, man.
Well, it was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun.
Were you intimidated at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of folks. I mean, because there's some stories that come up about people putting in boats on that river, man. And
yeah,
I would be intimidated. Shoot,
Just like what I said today. When she's grumpy, don't mess with her.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
When you said that today, I thought, man, that's a great way to.
The first time I ever got out on the main Mississippi River Channel, it scared me to death.
Yeah.
really.
I was 21 years old. Just started guiding at a place down south or right at Natchez, and we were going to take hunters out. And I had no idea. I'd never experienced Mississippi River bottom in my life, but I was so excited to be there. And had a deer stand right on the river, and the best way to get to it was by the river. And the head guide over there sent me and another boy, didn't know what he's doing, out in a 16-foot John boat with 25 horsepower little Kawasaki or something on it. Said, y'all go around the point down there, you'll see the flag, and I put on the riverbank. We come out this point, and there's barges and currents and whirlpools, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But we made it, but I was scared to death.
Yeah.
Well, so we had this idea to do this trip. We were going to try to do it in warmer weather, but we had to delay. And so we came back when it was super cold, and which ended up not being the limiting factor. I mean, we were cold, but we had a semi-covered deck that kept us fairly warm, but we were just decked out with warm weather clothes. Ended up being a 9-hour trip, 250 miles, and we put in at Memphis, within sight of the Bass Pro Pyramid at Memphis at the bridge.
Yep.
And those first few miles, we didn't know how long it would take. We didn't know. I mean, there was just uncountable variables. And it was absolutely intimidating.
Yeah.
But that's why we did it.
I suppose.
I mean, it was just Yeah, like I said, we could have drove here, but when we did this series on the Mississippi River back in the spring, back in the summer, that's when I had the thought that I wanted to go down the river. I just wanted to go down. I wanted to see it. And the truth is that the way the river looks today, it's definitely different than when Davy Crockett. Davy Crockett wrecked a boat just south of Memphis and nearly died.
I heard about that.
Heard about that one. And all
Right
these
after that.
famous people. I mean, anybody in American history that has done anything has been down the Mississippi River. And I wanted to see it. And honestly, today it looks about like it did then. I mean, you just can't. What I was most struck by when I was on the river, and I knew this, but then I saw it, is that there are no cities don't come to the edge of the river in that span. From Memphis to Vicksburg, there are no cities to speak of. And by cities, I mean, you can, if there were, it's woods. What you're seeing is woods. We did see the Tunica Casino that stood up above the tree line. And then you would see loading docks, where they were loading barges and stuff. And you'd see you'd see river camps once you got, all down through there, you would occasionally see river camps, and there'd be clusters of them around cities because the cities are outside the levees, so you can't see them. But, I mean, I wouldn't have thought, or I just never thought it through that the river looks about like it did when Mark Twain was running down it as a cub pilot like me.
How many other boats did y'all see?
I'm glad you asked that. We saw one pleasure craft and two pleasure crafts in 250 miles.
Wow.
No joke. We kept track. We saw two people. Now, we saw, how many barges did we think we passed?
Oh,
We had a guess.
30.
I think we figured we passed
I think it's around.
probably between 30 and 40 barges in a 250-mile stretch, 9 hours on the water. We saw two civilian, just like pleasure crafts, just like guys on a John boat.
Wow.
250 miles. Now, we were there in January, which was, not a lot of people out on
It's
the
the
water.
off season.
It's cold.
It's the off season.
No skiers, huh?
No,
No
didn't
skiers.
see any skiers. But so anyway,
An incredible trip though. Spending the night on the island, and
yeah,
it was fun.
yeah.
Drew,
we just
where'd you
camped out.
sleep?
So Isaac and I slept in the boat, and we were way back up this back channel. I mean, how far back up that back
Quarter
channel?
mile.
Or a quarter mile up a back channel, and Isaac and I were sleeping in the boat, and it's just crazy that you could feel the waves from the barges a quarter mile up a back channel, like rocking.
Be glad y'all found that
The
back
boat.
channel.
Oh
It
yeah,
was-
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you had to go check
so
your boat
impressive.
and make sure water hadn't come over the back of your motor and fill it up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was really
And
glad.
then the water table rose in the night.
Yeah, and then the water table rose in the night, and the barges slowed down and didn't come through from probably midnight until 5, and then at 5 in the morning the barges started coming through, and then the boat just kept rocking and rocking, and you'd feel as the barges increased, the boat would continue to rock. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
I was really glad y'all slept in the boat.
Yeah, me and Brent slept in tents on the bank, and he said, "I'm glad those boys are sleeping in that boat." And I said, "Why?" And he said,
In case it floats off, they can drive it back.
Yeah.
Well spoken.
yeah. And I was like, "That's why I brought you, Captain." Hey, let's talk about this podcast. So everybody got to listen to it. Mike, you listened to your first podcast today.
First podcast, I loved it. Really
I'm very honored that the
You
Bear
are a
Grease
storyteller.
podcast was the first one you ever listened to. No, this was a unique one. Usually, we've done multiple series on wildlife violators and violations. We did the Ludell and Charlie series, which was one of my favorites of all time, about two guys that have passed away that were notorious turkey hunting poachers from my hometown and near Mena, Arkansas. But they were beloved people in our community. And I interviewed family members to all kind of different people about these guys and told a story about their life. Really interesting. but I didn't talk to them.
Mm.
We did a big series called Secret Agent Man where I interviewed an undercover wildlife agent from Ohio that worked undercover for years and years. And he just had the wildest stories you could ever dream of.
Oh, I bet he did undercover.
Yeah. But we ended up talking to one of the people that he was after. But this one was unique because I was talking to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I thought it was, I said it over and over in the podcast, maybe to a point of redundancy, but where I was trying to be like, Donnie didn't have to tell us this story.
Mm-hmm.
He could have said, no thanks, Clay. I think I'll pass on reliving one of the worst times in his life, when he got caught for this. But let me back up. I also was very concerned about when I did the interview with him, I told him I wasn't even sure if I could use it. I talked to him for 2 hours. Y'all heard 27 minutes of the interview. So by the time it was whittled down, you heard 27 minutes. I talked to him for 2 hours that we recorded. And I told him, I said, I don't know if we can use this or not. And it was because I didn't want it to I didn't want to hurt this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted him to tell a story. I wanted us to learn something from it. I learned a ton of stuff from just hearing people's stories. I mean, we all do.
Right.
Whether we know it or not. I mean, like, stories are so powerful to just every arena of life. But I was I didn't want him to be have to go through the ringer again for something he's already paid for. But the main reason that I could talk to Donnie was that first time I talked to him, I said I smelled a whiff of genuineness, contriteness, and just he was humble, and I thought that was unique, and he did such a good job of telling the story, and I thought it was fascinating.
Hell, I wanted to meet him after I listened to it.
Did you?
Yeah.
So you what did you feel like after? Did you like the guy?
I liked him. I mean, I like I said, genuine. You could hear that in his voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't trying to hide nothing. He just spoke it out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to meet him.
Yeah. Well, Brent, what stood out to you in the podcast?
When he talked about his dad.
Yeah.
When he went back in the house and you talked to his dad, and that would almost, it kind of made me kind of misty-eyed thinking about a father's love for a son who has made a terrible mistake, but he's standing beside him and he can see all the pain that kid's going through. There's nothing he can do to help him, and it was very prophetic when he showed his dad that deer, and his dad said, "Son, that's an awful big deer not to shoot or not to get the right way."
Yeah.
And it was almost like, this ain't gonna end well.
Yeah.
But it's your son, and so that stood out to me. It made me think about my kids, made me think about the times that I've disappointed my dad, and I would say that was probably. That would rank near the top of the things that bothered Donnie about anything, is knowing that his dad was disappointed in him. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get away from that. There were several other things that really said something to me, but
you said something to me when we listened to it together.
Mm-hmm.
You said you thought, so Brent's 32 years background in law enforcement. You said you didn't think they had enough evidence on him to really prosecute him.
I don't think they did.
That's shocking to me.
Well, judging from how the investigation went about.
Why?
If I'm going to talk to somebody, it's to get more information. If I got enough to arrest him, I'm going to arrest him right then. I've taken all the facts that I need to the prosecuting attorney's office, and They've sworn a judge.
But okay, so if they knew they had the evidence to prosecute him in court and they arrested him, what would they have done with him? Put him in jail until the court date?
No, well, I mean, on a game violation, no, I'm sure it's a misdemeanor.
So what would they have done then?
Issued him a citation.
Just wrote him a citation.
Yeah, unless here's another thing in this deal. It was on a federal. It was on an Army base.
Yeah.
So there's some federal laws there that I'm not familiar with that may have been a mitigating factor in all that.
Right.
But I just from listening to it, it just made me say out loud, if they're wanting to talk to him, they're wanting to talk to him and say, hey, this is the information we got. We think this is what's
Brent,
going on.
you told me, I've heard you talk before about talking to people that are assumed to have committed a crime.
Yep.
And what do you say?
If you will give them the opportunity, they'll tell them to sell. Somebody that's not a sociopath, but just
sociopath being someone who has no remorse for doing something wrong.
Correct. They see nothing wrong with what they're doing. Anything they choose to do.
So if somebody has guilt,
somebody who knows the difference in right and wrong and does something wrong, if you give them the opportunity, they'll tell on themselves because they want to unburden. It's a burden. It's something that they're holding. And that, I mean, Donnie said it himself. He laid his hand on the biggest deer he will ever lay his hands on, probably. And he said he didn't feel good about it. He's like, I'll never get away with this. Well, I'll never get it. He knows he did something wrong. And he said, later on in the story he told you, he said when he finally told the agents, he felt better.
He said it was a burden that lifted off.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising,
Mm-hmm.
but it's interesting the way you said that. If you're not a sociopath, so if you don't have some wild mechanism that makes you not feel remorse
Right.
for something,
Right.
you want to get rid of that guilt.
Yeah. He made a choice. I don't agree with terminology about somebody made a mistake. Making a mistake is putting 2 cups of flour in a recipe that calls for 1. That's a mistake. Getting out of your truck and taking a bow and arrow and purposely going and shooting a deer where you know you're not supposed to, that's a violation. That's breaking the law. That's doing something that you're not supposed to do. That don't mean that you can't get over it. That don't mean that you can't atone for it. I'm not saying that at all. But that's not a mistake. He did that on purpose.
Yeah.
But would I sit down and have a cup of coffee with him? You bet I would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Golly, that's all really interesting. What would you do to someone to make them talk? How would you handle somebody that you know? Because see, they knew he did it. They didn't have evidence that he did.
That's
it.
that's what I meant. You know, I mean, that's what I said.
But there's no way that he could have. One time, my mind is going 100 different directions.
I know.
If he'd had a really good lawyer, you think he could have got out of it?
Doubtful, because too many people saw the deer.
One time I was with a guy. This is where my mind sidetracked. One time I was with a guy in Arkansas, and something happened. And it was kind of his fault, but I would have been entangled in it just because I was with him. And I said, "Hey, bro, you sure we should be doing this?" And he said, "Clay, if they come after you, I will get the baddest lawyer in Mississippi to defend you." And I was like, "Wait a minute, Mississippi? Why Mississippi? We were in Arkansas, and the dude's not even from Mississippi." I never forgot that. There must be some good lawyers in Mississippi, because he said, "I'll get the baddest lawyer in Mississippi." Luckily, we didn't have to go there.
Well,
Carry on, Brent. Could he have got out of it?
Man, I don't know. It goes back to the old adage that's attributed to Benjamin Franklin, that 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. So there's no way he could have kept that deer a secret.
Yeah.
And he didn't. You know, he showed his cousin. He's like, "Oh, okay, here's his. This is what I did."
Yeah.
Then he gets over to his cousin's house, and there's 200 people there?
Yeah, he said there was just a wad of people there.
So, I mean, the jig is up right then.
What was interesting, too, is that he knew from the very beginning. He said as soon as he shot and saw the deer, he said, "There's no way I'm going to get away with this."
Yeah.
Wished he wouldn't have done it right then.
Yeah, but he just kept it just kept getting worse. Like he just
How
kept.
far was his house from where they'd been seeing the deer?
A good ways, 30, 40 miles.
But he
okay,
worked
so
there.
that didn't.
So when he killed the deer, and the guys had trail camera pictures of it on Fort Leonard Wood, and he said he'd killed it.
Right, that's what I was wondering.
It may have only been 25 miles.
Yeah, but still, that's.
But it was.
They knew that deer just didn't go 25 miles real quick.
Yeah, for sure. What'd you think, Jordan?
And the biggest part that stood out to me that I could relate with, as far as what today's society is the validation part.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, it was either you or him talking about, a big reason why he wanted to shoot the deer or whatever, because kind of put the puzzle pieces together, like, owns a bow shop, if he kills this big old deer, it gives me more validation for what I do for a living, and it's just a cycle that keeps on going from there. And I think that was a huge part why he probably did it. It was a validation of, not that you want to beat your chest, but I mean, we all hunt and want to kill a big buck, and when we do, you want to show people.
Sure.
And, that'll get you in trouble, is what I'm saying. And I think that's a big part of why he did it.
Yeah. And he was 26 years old.
Yeah, you want
to
prove to these old guys, whatever, I can kill these big deer too, just like y'all can.
Yeah.
Ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. She'll love looking back on these memories and seeing what you're up to today. Even better, with unlimited storage and an easy-to-use app, you can keep updating mom's frame with new photos, so it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is not a joke. Juju Newcomb has an Aura frame, and we share photos, and they're incredible. Also, my mother-in-law has one. We have them. They truly are really good, really high quality. The Aura frame is easy to set up. It takes just 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. It also adjusts the display depending on light levels in the room to maintain the true color of your photos. For real, the digital screen is amazing. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame when you use code BEAR, B-E-A-R, BEAR. That's auraframes.com. Use code BEAR at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply. The old-timers say that the turkeys start gobbling when the leaves are as big as squirrels' ears and the red buds start popping. And we're about there. And we are there in the South. The onX Hunt app is one of my most valuable tools in the spring woods. With tools like coniferous versus deciduous tree distribution layer, you can save time by locating edges or transition areas of mixing habitats from home. Find an area like this with water in close proximity, and more than likely, there will be a gobbling turkey nearby. Knowing the exact boundaries of private ground ensures I stay on the right side of the fence, but can easily find public ground to go see if I can't strike a gobbler. If you do get one to sound off, using compass mode and waypoints will help you pinpoint his exact location, allowing you to move in and make the perfect setup to bring him right into your lap. Download the onX Hunt app today. You'll be glad you did. onX has a special offer for you. Use code BEARGREASE to receive 20% off your membership at onxmaps.com/hunt this spring. We've all seen plenty of gadgets and fads come and go, but here's one product that stood the test of time: Seafoam motor treatment. Lots of hunters and anglers know that Seafoam helps engines run better and last longer. It's really simple. When you pour it in your gas tank, Seafoam cleans harmful fuel deposits that cause engine problems. I'm talking common stuff like hard starts, rough engine performance, or lost fuel economy. Seafoam is an easy way to prevent or overcome these problems. Just pour a can in your gas tank and let it clean your fuel system. You probably know someone who's used a can of Seafoam to get their truck or boat going again. People everywhere rely on Seafoam to keep their trucks, boats, and small engines running the way they should the entire season. Help your engine run better and last longer. Pick up a can of Seafoam today at your local auto parts store or visit seafoamworks.com to learn more.
It was a unique set of circumstances that, I mean, I think I said it was a 1-2-3 judo kick of him having a bow in his truck, him having it being seasoned, which he wasn't willing to kill it out of season, but then having that deer right there, and it just broke him. But Lake, what do you think? What stood out to you?
It flung a craving on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which would happen to a lot of people if they were going to be honest about it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, at least think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody sitting in this room that saw a 200-inch deer 30 yards off the road that wouldn't at least think about it.
Yeah.
Going to be hitting the brakes and looking.
Yeah.
Hey, what'd you think about the dollar value analogy? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean that's
But 125 versus 200 incher.
Yep.
That made sense. Yeah.
Say what was on the podcast. Do you remember?
Basically, you were, take that same deer that's 30 yards off the road in a ditch, and you can be like, that's a killable deer right there. And he's a 125-inch 8-point, good, solid 8-point, but that might not make somebody break their morals.
Right.
You turn that deer into 200-inch, like it sounds cliche, but a truly once-in-a-lifetime deer, that's a little bit more waving out, temptation waving in front of your face.
Mm-hmm. And but then I use the analogy that the 125-inch buck would be like $100 bill laying on a table. That's not yours. That you could take, but it's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
A 200-inch deer, and I want to hear if y'all think this is the right monetary equivalence. A 200-inch deer would be like having $100,000 cash on the table.
When that was coming out of your mouth, I thought he's going to say $1 million, and when you said 100,000, I thought that's perfect.
Because in the white, it's you kind of got to be in the moment, but in the whitetail world, 125-inch deer versus a 200-inch deer is about like $100 bill versus $100,000.
Yeah,
a life-changing amount.
Yeah.
Most of us never see a 200-inch deer.
Yeah.
Have
you ever seen one?
No, not just out. No, sir.
Mr. Thad, have you seen one? We've got a guest here that's not on the mic. You've probably seen a 200-inch deer.
He hunts lots of places.
Yeah. We got one guy here that's seen a 200-inch deer. I've seen close to a 200-inch deer.
I have not, I can assure you.
I have not either.
I hadn't either.
By close, I mean like inside of,
140.
20.
I've seen one that I'd say he was 180 inches. I'd be comfortable saying that.
Yeah.
But not a 200. That's different.
Yeah. Yeah. You seen a 200-inch deer?
Yes, sir.
Have you?
Yeah, I actually hunted one for like 5 years and ended up killing him last year, but he was not 200 anymore.
Oh, for real? You killed the big one last year? What did it score when you killed it?
165.
And at one time, it was a 200-inch deer.
Yeah, we first saw him, I think, in 2017, and he was well over that.
No way.
And guy, this is in Kansas, and guy I hunt with up there actually shot at him a couple times at your rifle hunt and missed him. And next year he got missed again, and then he disappeared for a couple of years, and then last year ended up killing him. I didn't put all the puzzle pieces together till later on. The neighbor had been getting pictures of him for like the last 3 years. So, yeah.
Okay, so you've seen one. Drew, have you seen a 200-inch deer?
not even close.
Are you a new hunter, Drew?
No, not a new hunter. I've
Okay.
been hunting for a long time,
Oh, okay.
but
Okay.
definitely not a professional hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the podcast?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, I guess I genuinely.
What stood out to
I
you?
genuinely felt bad for him, but
Mm.
like I don't know, the whole bullets and arrows deal. Like once they're released, you can't take them back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's a major bummer what happened to him, and I can definitely understand, like Jordan, you're saying, getting out of the truck and maybe making a foolish walk, but then once it's gone, it's gone, and then how you act afterwards. Like I think the story could be potentially drastically changed if he was like, "Hey man, that was a bad deal," and just turned himself in right away. I mean, I think.
I wonder how different it would have been if he'd have done that. Because that never happens.
I don't know the outcome, but I mean that's technically what you're supposed to do.
People that make mistakes kind of by accident will turn themselves in. I mean, we all probably in this room know someone that's done something on accident and then been like, "Oh man, I made a mistake. Call the game warden." and turn themselves in. Nobody that commits an egregious wildlife crime, I mean, that I know of, is going to poach a 200-inch deer on a military base and then immediately. That would be like best case scenario. It's interesting why they. Yeah, he could have skipped a lot if he'd have just.
I mean, just go down the rabbit. I mean, the more like he was saying, all right, started bringing people into this that didn't even want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So his actions hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Did anything surprise anybody about I don't know what stood out to you? Did you think he was going? Did you have when you knew this guy killed the deer? Did you project how he was going to kill it? Did you were you surprised when you heard how it rolled out?
Oh, I was.
Yeah, I mean, because I thought he was gonna. It just seemed like how he ended up killing it. I was like, it sounded like, dude, you're lucky you got away with it for as long as you did, because it sounded like it was just very, viewable for other people to see.
Yeah.
When he talks about those other people pulling into the parking lot and him hiding in the woods and all that.
Yeah.
But that was surprising to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to hide 200 inches of horn laying out there in the park.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, what stood out to you? Just in the whole thing, what if you were down at the gas station tomorrow telling somebody about this? What would you say? That's a tough question because the gas station's there's no gas stations around here. That's a bad analogy.
I like the part that he was humble. I believe he meant every word he said.
Yeah.
I think he knew he made a mistake from the start.
Yeah.
I think he probably got nervous and did the line on where he killed it and all that, which wasn't good.
Yeah.
But I think he realized it real quick.
Yeah.
Do I think the guy's a poacher and outlaw? No. Do I think he got caught up in the moment? I mean, you're looking at that 200-inch deer and you're giving bow lessons and everything else, and you're kind of the guy around there, like Jordan said.
Yeah.
I can see to where it would make you want to think about it.
Yeah.
Clay, didn't you kill a ginormous deer one time?
I mean, well, Jordan, I'm glad you asked. Well, and I killed the biggest deer I've ever killed was 169 inches.
Well, didn't it set your career got articles and stuff like that wrote about you about it, so you can kind of understand the validation part of it.
Exactly.
That's kind of where I was going with that. It could potentially change his whole business or life or whatever,
right?
For what he was doing for a living.
Yeah, it absolutely could have. It absolutely could have.
If he got away with it.
Well, and then in the podcast we talked about how, cheating the system really just messes you up in the future, I mean.
I didn't feel like he was really a cheater as much as, I feel like after he done it, he felt like that, but on a normal day, I felt like that guy was straight up probably.
Yeah.
Just got caught up in the moment.
Well, and so that brings up this whole thing that I kind of wanted to explore outside of just this guy committing a crime, is how as a society do we handle people that mess up? Because I think, especially with the advent of the internet in the last 15 years, if you read that story, if you read the headline on Meat Eater or Outdoor Life that said, man illegally kills 200-inch whitetail on Fort Leonard Wood, you're immediately going to think, poacher? This is what I'm going to think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to think, poacher?
Throw the book at it.
The book at it, which, I think they should have done that with Donnie. Just because you're a nice guy, it doesn't mean you get off.
Yeah.
Right.
There's still consequences.
Yeah.
That's right.
But what's so wild about sitting across from somebody like Donnie is you see the context that happened in. And the second episode is going to get way into the context of his life, which actually has nothing to do with the deer. He told me the deer story. And then I asked him a question. I said, Donnie, why did you tell me this story? I'm foreshadowing what's going to happen. And he said, Clay, this deer thing is really a pretty small piece of what's happened to me in the last 10 years. And he started talking about stuff that doesn't have to do with a government agency penalizing you, just in his life. And it's just interesting. And so to me, it's like everything that you happen when you're dealing with a human, you're dealing with a context of circumstances that most people don't have access to see. And again, that doesn't justify someone breaking the law. Right. But when I talk to Donnie, my instinct, especially with someone that's humble, that's doing what he's doing, is to have empathy for him, you know. But when I read it on the headline of Meat Eater, I don't. And it's like, wait a minute.
Perception.
How's this work? I mean, and so that's why we toyed around with the words at the end, you know, a guy's a poacher. You know, if you break the law one time, then I'm a poacher. And Lake, you're probably a poacher. I mean, anybody that's hunted very much or done anything very much has broken a law. Maybe not on purpose, maybe on purpose, but we throw these stigmas around like so hard. Like if somebody does something, it's just like poacher, whole life. Never, you know, how do you crawl out of it? And that's why I was talking about with my wife. We talked about how as a society do we handle people? Who do we forgive? And who do we allow a second chance? Because there's people that we don't.
Very much.
When I kind of figured out I felt like he was all right, guys, is when the part about him being in church and the preacher talking about it. He said that was the toughest part on him, you know.
Yeah.
And that kind of lets you know that he's real.
What got me
First of all, he's in church.
Yeah.
You know, and then when the preacher announces that in front of everybody, you know, and you didn't do it right, you know it's got to kill you.
Yeah.
Facing everybody.
Yeah.
What got me was I've heard, you know, poaching and wildlife violation stories before, and typically, you know, you get the sense the guy's like, yeah, I really kind of was off doing all this stuff and finally got caught and my life changed. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, and now I'm this way. This guy seemed like he was a good, genuine, honest guy. Did something wrong, and he was a good, genuine, honest guy afterwards. Like the character about him didn't change.
Yeah. I also Brent and Drew asked me today when we listened to it about 2 times in the podcast. I said I don't have 20 years of experience with this guy. You know, I said I met this guy 30 minutes before I started talking to him, and he told me a story. And I don't have a big experience. And kind of from a sense of being honest inside of being a journalist, essentially. I wanted to say, I think this guy's telling me the truth. I think this guy is changed. I don't think he would do that. Well, I know he wouldn't do it again. And I wanted to say, I think this is a good guy. He has Clay Newcomb's stamp of approval. Donnie Baker does. But I also wanted to be responsible with that endorsement and say, I don't know this guy. Only he really knows. Did you? Who was it? It was you that. Were you the one that was saying that you thought that was a little sketchy of me to do that? Do you remember what you said, Drew? You said it.
No, we talked about it, and yeah, I mean, I think. He's the only one that's going to know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of just trying to say, I don't know. I was just trying to be honest about it, you know, and because if I knew Brent for 20 years, it's like I could go, this guy's different. I was just saying, man, I think this guy's different, and I do. I absolutely do. But I'm looking forward to the next episode. It's going to be interesting, and you're going to learn what they did to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in knowing.
I'm not gonna. You're not. Look at these eyes. Like, am I giving away anything?
You cliff-hung us a little bit there.
Am I poker face?
You're very poker faced.
Okay? Let me ask you this, Brent. Don't answer because I think you know. What are they gonna do to him? Any ideas?
If I had to, probably gonna take his hunting license away, take his all his weapons and stuff, and probably big fine. And probably I would guess somewhere in there it'd be hunting privileges taken away for a long time.
Okay.
That federal being on the air base and all that just changes everything. I don't really know what they're to expect. Can't wait to find out.
Yeah. Drew, what do you think they're going to do to him?
I would think same as Lake, plus a bit more because the air base.
I don't think it's anything outstandingly crazy. I think the public humiliation
There you go.
is his punishment. I mean, he's obviously going to get fines and some other little stuff, but I don't think he served any jail time or anything like that. But I think the public just getting embarrassed over everything.
Well,
and
okay, and that brings up a question that I asked on the podcast is that to us that are deer hunters, killing a 200-inch deer is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
What if he had poached a basket rack 8-point?
nobody would care.
It just wouldn't make near the ripple.
We wouldn't be doing a podcast about it.
Or shot too many doves.
Or what if I said
Kind of like that $100 and $100,000 pile.
What if I said, hey, a guy killed a deer on Fort Leonard Wood, basket rack 8-point. He snuck it out of the base and said he killed it at his house and got caught. If that was the story. And I said, what do you think they're going to do to him?
Oh, yeah. If you put it in that terminology.
I mean, because that's what happened. It's kind of interesting because, like, what about, a couple more inches of bone I'm touching Brent's deer head there?
It really shouldn't
Makes
be no
it different.
The law is not based on what size the deer is.
That's exactly right.
Well, today it is in a lot of places.
Like inches?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it more on the next episode.
Okay.
But, there's trophy fines now. So if you kill a deer, and that's what I was kind of exploring. I was like, is that okay? If you kill a 200-inch deer today, now in 2009 when this happened, I don't think that was as common, but there is a difference by the law.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, it kind of makes sense to me. I mean, going off of back to the comparison you made. I mean, it's just. It's
But it's interesting
just
because
kinda
the only
makes
thing
sense.
that gives that deer value is just the cultural value that we as a society of deer hunters. I mean, you take that rack into some place where nobody knows anything about deer, and you set that one next to a great big one, and go, which one do you want? Which one do you think is pretty? They might go, golly, that one's ugly and big. I like this little one that looks symmetrical.
I can hang a lot of hats on
Like
that.
Right.
My point is that it's totally
Subjective.
human subjectiveness and this idea of beauty that we've created around a whitetail rack that then makes the punishment. It's just interesting to think about.
It is.
I think it is. I think it's interesting. And the other question I asked about on the podcast that was just a rhetorical question was intent. Does intent matter? Like if he had 2 months before been like, I'm going to sneak into that cantonment area and I'm going to put up a tree stand and I'm going to kill that deer with a thermal, which they didn't have them probably to the public back in 2009. But why is that different than him having an impulsive shot? I liked it when he said it was like when you're a kid and you shoot a bird and you kind of wish you hadn't done it. But yeah, so intent. Why does intent matter?
I think it's like just getting caught up in the moment. I mean, a lot of times.
But why does it matter with the law, though?
Well, the difference is like I'm thinking about like calling you a bunch of bad names or whatever, and thinking about it for a long time, or we just get in an argument and I just say like, you know what I mean? Like I just
If I study,
shout out like real quick, and it's like
It's just impulsive.
Impulsive. The only difference is I can say I'm sorry to you. Where that arrow, it's gone. There's no taking it back.
if me and you are driving down the Mississippi River and you run over a buoy by going left when I told you to go right and I kill you, that's impulse. If I think about it 250 miles, think about killing you and just finally do it at the 249th mile when I was actually thinking about it, that is intent. That's malice.
I know, but why does it matter?
I don't
Clay
think
has
the
passed
fine
away in both of these.
I don't think the fine probably no different. I mean, it's doing the same thing. It's just,
Right.
He thought about it a little longer.
Well, okay.
Something else I just thought about too on the regret of doing it standpoint. If you really, really regretted doing it once you did it, you still went ahead and tried to hide it.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's instead of just saying calling the MP and saying, "Man, I made a huge mistake," or "I messed up."
Yeah.
But how many people would do that though?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong,
would.
but
Yeah,
like,
But
that
if you've
would
already
be-
told that lie, you're gonna ride it out.
That's
I
right.
mean, because when that guy was telling that story and he talked about releasing the arrow and it hit, I mean, like I could almost feel the weight of it.
Yeah.
Of just being like, can you imagine? Be like, what in the world did I just do?
Yeah.
And he had to
That's-
have been terrified.
That's
a
what
heck
I
of a
got
shot.
from it,
I'll
too.
tell you that.
Yeah,
He
I
didn't
think he knew he
he
did
didn't
the
run
wrong
far.
thing when he let go.
Yeah. Oh,
It was like Opie when he shot that bird. down.
nightmare.
Exactly.
That's why we call this
Exactly.
nightmare.
A nightmare.
Going back to the intent thing, intent does matter in the law because think about manslaughter. What is it? First degree? What am I thinking about?
Premeditated?
Who knows?
Involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
A guy would go to prison for 5 or 10 years.
Or not.
Murder one, as they call it,
That's the
in
big
the
one.
pen. Is like I'm gonna
That's what y'all
I'm
call
going
it,
to
man.
kill you. That would be like
Then you
Brent
got-
thinking in Memphis that he was going to try to bump me out of the boat.
You get like the capital crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it does matter. So if you killed someone by accident in a fist fight, is different than if you went to their house
To beat them to
you were
death.
talking about wild stuff here, but
Premeditated.
intent matters.
Yeah, premeditated.
But it's just interesting to think about why does intent matter, and intent matters all the time in every single area of our life. When I deal with my kids, they may knock a cup over and spill stuff all over the couch. I am calculating intent intuitively, instinctively, and immediately of were they messing around and wrestling with their brother or sister and knock it over, or was it just a genuine error, just a bumble, and I would handle that different. I would handle. We're constantly understanding intent because people are constantly doing us wrong. I mean, like if you're friends with some human relationship means that you have to. I mean, with a husband and wife, with a boat captain and a cub boat captain.
Like today, Lake took me out in the cold, wet mud. Did he have intent of making me miserable, or is it just happened?
When he went out looking for the ducks that weren't there.
If it was my intent, it worked.
No, all this stuff is interesting, and well, it's been good to have everybody. Man, I really intended to like. Oh, okay, you got to tell us one story, Drew. You got to tell us about your jump, the photo that made the cover of the. We're changing gears here to wind her down.
I
Okay.
just want to know this too.
Okay, tell me about the ski jump. So the other day, I just met Drew. I met Drew like an hour before we got on the Mississippi River.
You're right.
It was pretty good. We were like in go mode. So usually there's some pleasantries amongst people when you first meet each other. Me and Drew were just like, it's all business.
And oddly enough, his wife and I worked together at Onyx.
That's right. Your wife works at Onyx.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you get free prime or elite
membership. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I know a guy. Lake, can you hook him up?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
No, okay. So tell me about the ski jump. Tell me like the whole story.
Yeah, so the whole story. So yeah, I grew up ski racing in Sun Valley, Idaho, and then got out of ski racing young, probably at like 14 or 15, and then started doing the extreme skiing tour and did like a circuit around the West. And when we were in college, there's Loveland Pass in Colorado, which is a big mountain pass. And my buddy and I, Griffin Post, who's a world famous skier, still skis for TGR and does stuff all around the world.
We don't know what TGR is.
It's Teton Gravity Research. It's a ski movie company.
Did y'all know what that was?
No idea.
I knew
No
y'all
idea.
did.
You guys are down south.
I got
so-
a tattoo of that.
Yeah.
All I know is like watching the slalom or whatever they call it in the Olympics.
This is like
Jordan's
like that,
your man.
but with like semi trucks. So we wanted to build a jump and jump over this highway, and
So it's a mountain. Just envision a very steep, snow-covered mountainside with a 2-lane highway, like cut into the bank, kind of going around that rim of this mountain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, right over the top, a mountain pass.
Okay.
And so we built this jump right above the highway.
How do you build
to
a
try-
snow jump? Just pack snow?
Just grab shovels and start.
How big was the jump?
Probably about 10 feet if you just stay on the
How long
bottom
did it take
of
you to build it?
Like weekend.
I mean, a weekend.
So,
Like,
yeah.
what does that mean? 8-hour workday?
Yeah,
Taking
probably
lunch breaks?
Probably 16 hours.
15-minute
Something
break
like that.
every 2
Union
hours?
job.
Yeah, 16 hours.
16 hours. Okay, I get that. All right,
That's a lot of
16 hours.
shoveling. Yeah, so shoveling and then grooming in the in run, and
Wait a minute,
it hadn't
what?
really
Grooming
In run.
like
Jordan, tell him what that is.
Oh, in run.
That's where you land.
that would be the landing.
I thought because Jordan likes slalom skiing, he would
That'd
know
be
what
the
that
Wait a
is.
land.
minute, was that right? Is that what it is?
No, the in run is where you build up to hit the jump.
I was really hoping Jordan was right.
He said the end of the run. I don't know.
Makes sense.
Okay, so
So-
10-foot jump on the edge of a highway.
Yeah, and so we
Did
basically
you see how he
built,
said, yeah, like as if that would be normal. It's like, yeah.
So we built the jump and deemed that it was not safe because there wasn't very good snow
That's what
on the
that's what made it
on the
unsafe.
landing. So we waited an entire month for there to be more snow and drove.
So you got to have good, you can't have, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I'm not that sorry. Good snow.
okay,
We're from
so
the South. Everybody here
people in the
except for you.
South. It would be if there's bad snow, it'd be like jumping into a pool with no water. So you want more fresh snow, which is more water to jump into to make it softer.
Some cushion.
Some cushion.
Okay, that's a good analogy. Got it.
Yeah. So we deemed it unsafe, so we waited a month and came back to Colorado, and it turns out that it really hadn't snowed in a month, but we decided that since we were there,
So you had
we might
to
as
travel
well.
to get there.
Yeah,
How far?
from Salt Lake City, so I'm not sure how.
I mean, like 10 hours? 8?
Maybe 8 hours, something like that.
So you drove 8 hours to get to this jump.
Yeah.
Was there not a highway close to you that you could have done that at?
I mean, this is a pretty nice highway.
That's why
it's
you
the
did. I mean,
Loveland
you
Pass.
went to this.
It's a pretty famous pass. I mean, we've done.
Okay, that answers my question. Is a famous pass.
Yeah.
So you wanted to do it right there.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
intent.
That's intent for sure.
That is intent. If me and Brent were just driving down the road and we just saw a random pass and just were impulsively built a jump, that would not show intent.
No.
Okay, so you
So-
get there a month later, no new snow, but you decide to go for it.
Yeah,
And
go
got
for it
safer.
anyways. So we decided to do rock, paper, scissors to see who had to go first. And so I'm not as good as Griffin at rock, paper, scissors. So
Did you do best of 3 or just one off?
best of 3 for sure.
Oh, he got you.
Best of 3 for
He
sure.
outsmarted you.
It's always paper
Yeah.
at the same time.
You must pick
Um,
rock.
yeah. And so, so I had to go first, but Griffin had no idea how to operate the camera. So
You're a
I-
professional photographer.
Yeah, this was in the beginning. So I set up the camera on the tripod. I said, "All right, I'll go to the top, and when you see a giant tanker or a house coming through,
A house.
coming
A
up,
house?
because everything goes over Loveland Pass, like houses on the back of trucks. I mean,
Mobile
Oh,
home.
like a
Yeah.
mobile home?
yeah, like you name it, you can jump right.
So you
through
needed
there.
a big truck coming.
Yep,
And now he's working the camera?
yep. I just have him to hold the button, and told him as soon as I hit the lip, just hold the button.
And it just you had it on multi-shot.
Yeah, this
So
was
just
back
like-
in the film days. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like, "All right." So as soon as it rounds the bend, I'll give a whistle, and 1's go, and then 2 is stop, and 3 is cops because you're not supposed to be jumping over the highway.
That's me and Brent have that same thing.
Yep.
1 is go, 2 is stop, 3 is cops.
Yep. That's it.
Exactly.
That's international.
Yeah.
It's like Morse code.
And so yeah, went up to the top and got the whistle and went and bombed down and shot over the top of 2 semi trucks, and
They were passing each other like this.
there's 2 going up at the same time. There's one that went over, and the other one was like right in the background of the photograph.
Man, I wonder
And
what
then-
they were thinking if they saw you.
Oh, but they're freaked out for sure. And then landed and made it a bit, but there's, just giant chunks of ice in the landings that kind of exploded and landed in a relatively soft spot, and then made Griffin go.
So you stuck it. You stuck the landing
for a bit, and then it got.
You crashed.
It's a bit of a rodeo at the end,
but it was okay. How high were you at the highest point from the ground?
I don't know, maybe 30, 40 feet, something like that.
How far did you jump?
However far the standard width of a highway. Plus a little bit. Landed
16
probably
miles.
15, 20 feet past the guardrail.
So probably
you don't want to hit the guardrail.
So like 100 feet probably or more.
Maybe I would say less than 100 feet, 70.
Gotcha.
Feet like that.
He's doing like it's just no big deal.
And then the photograph that your buddy he took it because he actually punched the shutter.
Yeah, so the first photograph he ever took ended up being a double-page spread in Skiing Magazine. Oh wow! my mom saw it; she was not very thrilled.
How old were you when that happened?
Probably 23.
Okay, that's a good age to make mistakes.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
Right. In that range,
mid-20s. I had to hear that story again.
That's awesome.
That's good. That's good. Hey, thank you guys. Lake, anything you want to say? The Bear Grease world?
Glad to be here again. Glad y'all came down here and were able to make it down this low river. And
yeah,
maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Next time we may just drive.
You could take the boat again if you wanted to. I wouldn't suggest it.
Laura's
we're bringing
girl.
Separate boats next time. I'm hiring a crew that will do what I tell them. Drew, you're in.
Drew kind of worked out, didn't he?
He worked out.
It worked out.
I'm also,
Cool,
I know I can speak for everybody here. I was tickled about Brent's buck. Absolutely tickled.
Oh, me too.
And I'm very
tickled for him.
I've been paying attention to how well you did not talk about your archery shooting. So we'll just leave that as it is.
I made a couple of good shots. Real good ones.
Jordan didn't get to cut on me about the duck, so he had to cut on somebody.
We'll just leave it right there.
Sometimes you got to climb down to reload.
Is there a reason all your arrows are covered in Mississippi gumbo mud, Mississippi buckshot?
Someone going to call in and be like, I was on a barge, and I swear I saw an arrow floating down the river.
Jordan, good to have you, man. Mike, good to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Mike's been our host. He's been hosting us this week quite a bit. Mr. Thad's been hosting us too, who's over here. But really appreciate it. We're going to come catfishing with you, man.
And hope we can do the
gummit. I wanted to go so
squirrel
bad.
hunt catfish combo.
Let's do it. I'm in. Count me in.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
Outdoor adventure won't wait for engine problems. Things like hard starts, rough performance, and lost fuel economy are often caused by fuel gum and varnish buildup. Seafoam can help your engine run better and last longer. Simply pour a can in your gas tank. Hunters and anglers rely on Seafoam to keep their engines running the way it should the entire season. Pick up a can of Seafoam today at your local auto parts store or visit seafoamworks.com to learn more.